Hello, everybody. I'm Ed Parcaut with Brian Galke. How's it going, buddy?
I'm doing all right. Still
I know I
struggling from
didn't.
the changes over the weekend.
I know I didn't say Aces53 and then what we all that, but
Yeah.
yeah, there was. I people are. My wife. We were at an event on Saturday night, and she goes, "See, I told you. You told me I could just leave my recipes on there." I'm like, "It's going to be back. It is a
Right.
stunt. Trump already said he was going to extend it through an executive order on Monday." But they
Mhm.
want to prove a point because of the current administration and let everybody know how it would be if they were gone
Right.
to freak everybody out.
There's a channel I follow here. It's called like DFW News or DFW Television, and it said the amount of kids and teenagers that were calling 911 because they couldn't get into TikTok
Well, you could if you got one of those.
VPNs.
Yeah, thank you. You could have still
Yeah.
got in there.
Yeah. So it just I was like, I wasn't so upset
I
about that. I was
wouldn't win.
prepared to lose the 50,000 followers, which that's a whole thing we can go into. But never, I kept hearing the TikTok ban. So I go in to go start making videos in CapCut because we talked about before. I started an Opus and I cut it, have Opus cut it up, put subtitles, all that, and then I go add my own B-roll footage through CapCut. Went to go open it up and it said, "Nope, can't do it." And I was like, "Oh,
I don't think people knew that it was a Chinese company and owned by TikTok.
correct." Well, just because people get used to when you say something like, "Oh, the TikTok ban," you think it's only TikTok, and because of what they have and the information, all that kind of stuff. But CapCut is what I've seen following social media since Sunday night. I think when did it go away? Last night?
It went away actually. Well, CapCut
Saturday
went
night.
away on Saturday night. Yeah,
My
same
days are
time
run
that
together. Yeah,
TikTok.
ever since we had the holiday. But yeah, so that's when I posted about I knew about TikTok going away and CapCut going away. I got more engagement on that post than I do my videos because people didn't realize it. Then they went to go open it and saw the same thing. So it's interesting what people were prepared for versus what they can, or I mean, what they were found out. So that's the problem and danger of when we do make, and this will be slightly political for a second, but when people don't understand what they're voting for or supporting, then when they find out how it really impacts them, sometimes it's like, whoa, hold on, pump the brakes.
Yeah,
And
they
so, like,
talked about everybody in LA.
yeah,
You
I mean,
voted for these people.
so like for me, okay, 50,000 people on TikTok gone. Now, of course, it's back,
Okay,
but
I guarantee
like you
that
said,
50,000, most of those you have on Instagram, Facebook,
correct.
somewhere else. The moral of the story, which you're going to get there, but I'm going to get there faster, is the fact
Sure.
that I hear so many people going, "I'm no longer doing social media. I'm only doing YouTube and focusing on my own group in my
Right.
own thing." So I have my people, my own mailing list, my email list, not actual mailing list,
Right.
and get off the social media train.
And it doesn't matter what it is. This one happened to be TikTok, but you and I both know people who lost Instagram accounts, Facebook accounts, people who are signed up for school. It's all still someone else's platform, which is fine. It helps us grow, right? It's got the infrastructure that's there, it's got the popularity, it's got the features. But what are you doing to get the information from people off of those platforms is the most important part.
Yeah, but I don't know
And
if school is somewhat in the same. It's social media is totally different than having school, or what was the other one that Bradley has?
Lightspeed.
Lightspeed. I think
Mhm.
it's different. Those are just same as Go High Level. What if Go High Level went away?
Well, exactly the same. Right. And that's what we're saying. Like you should be downloading your list. So having both played around in school and Lightspeed, if you have them sign up through those platforms, then you get like the data's in there. So you have to constantly go and download it. So taking a non-social media platform, I used to have MailChimp before I moved to Go High Level. And that was one of the practices that somebody helped me with is maybe it was Martha who talked about like once a month, you need to go and download your lists to an Excel form, anything like that. Because to your point, they can all go away at any time.
Or, and there's even I had a CRM I couldn't get stuff out of,
Yeah.
and I was fighting with them, and then, I stopped paying them, and then they locked me out, and I can't get the stuff because I got pissed off at them because of what they were doing. But
Right.
they were, once they got owned by BlackRock, it was a totally different place.
Mm-hmm.
And it was totally different. And I'm like, okay, this isn't working for me anymore. And then again, it has to do with your list. How old is your list? I had a
Right.
lot of people there, but I'd guarantee you 80% of those people I'll never hear from again today through
Right.
the stuff I'm doing, even though I have a lot of following and people reach back out to me years later about, hey, you did this for me.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't like it's my only place I have that information. I have it elsewhere. I just have to, but I'm trying to make it smarter and do things differently than the way I did it before. And again, social media is great if you're really trying to build a brand that's just on social media and you're selling stuff on there. You have to be on there. And that's why a lot of these influencers on TikTok were freaking out, because that's how they make their money. Only that's all they do on there. There's nothing else they do. Well, get that information off of there. Have a list, have something else that you can send it to them. And then you can change it to YouTube or other places.
Yeah. Oh, and there's different words in the industry. Some people call it tripwire. Some people call it your free gift. Some people call it your deliverable, whatever you want to call it, your lead magnet. It's just,
ebook.
Yeah, ebook, anything to get people's information, no matter where they follow you or find you. When I moved over to First Direct 360, it's one of the things they go in and we looked at, I was like, oh, I was proud. I was like, oh, I got 3,500 in my list. But once they went and validated the emails, because that list has been built over time, half of that. So now it's like maybe 2,000, because those other ones were people have job hopped, so the email addresses don't work anymore. We're in that environment that you constantly have to be asking for updated information from people because of, look at the last few years. I mean, we're talking since COVID to present. How many people lost their jobs? How many people quit their jobs? That's quite a bit of the people, because people don't want to give their personal information. So a lot of times they'll give their work email address. And then if they leave those jobs, that contact is in your list, but it will come back as a rejected one, which actually hurts your score later on. So what are you doing to constantly create new lead magnets or tripwires, anything new to get updated information from people?
And what are you doing to get their phone number?
That's one of the questions. It's interesting. Some of the forums, originally people are like, oh, don't take phone number because texting is going to go through a lot of issues. But if you're like, for example, I'll send stuff and sometimes end up in the junk or spam folder. So unless I want to go do it from my personal email, I don't have a way to reach those people. So I think you should, even if you don't want to do SMS campaigns, ask people for their phone numbers.
Yeah, I think you should ask for it all the time. And then you're probably going to get a 50% buy-in with people putting it on there instead of their email, because a lot of people don't have email or even look at email. I have multiple emails and I only look at a few of them. Like somebody said, I sent this to you. And I go, what email did you send it to? And they were like, this Comcast. I go, I haven't had Comcast in years. I have it there. I just never go look at it because Comcast wants you to come back, so they don't get rid of that email.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, I'll never go back to Comcast because I'll never get cable again.
Well, especially after the higher speeds you got and everything else. But yeah, I keep my Hotmail is my junk one. Then I've got Gmail and obviously Subtle Skills email.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So back to, so we've talked about this before. Get your information. And we've had other people talk about this before in the last 2 years or 3, whatever we've been doing this, where people like, get your information off there. This should be a wake up call for you. If you haven't gotten that information off there, get it off there now.
Right. And a twofold. I mean, one, get your information off of the platforms. Number two, since we talked about CapCut also, you need to be researching tools in case your tool goes away. So Ed was laughing at me before we went live because he knew when I posted that the other day, he's like, crap, Brian's going to be screwed because he uses CapCut. Luckily,
I knew as soon as TikTok said it, and then somebody else said that CapCut was gone. It was not you. I was just like, oh shit, Brian is going to be real hurting because he doesn't just use Opus clips. He then uploads it into CapCut and adds additional stuff into it. And maybe it's time to get a different software.
Right. Well, so what I started using, since it's been down since Saturday, so we're talking 4 days, I just adjusted and now I can do it all solely in Opus clips. But I need to also be looking for backup software in case Opus ever goes away.
Opus isn't going to go away. It's just going to get more expensive.
Right.
And that's just like cast magic.
It filled all the needs. I'm not a big fan of their B-roll because I like uploading my own videos. So I go to Canva, I find the image I want, screenshot it, then go and upload it into Opus clips and put it in there. But they're getting better at their B-roll, that both the AI version and what they pick. In one of the videos I tried to use it, I let it select it and it said, I showed up and I was going to prove the guy's a fraud. It showed somebody shaking hands and smiling. I'm like, nope, that's not quite it yet. So it's
not perfect.
Time to go.
You gotta remember, it's probably another 6 months. I mean, but look how far they've come in the last year. 6 months. Drastically different. So much that if you don't use it all the time, you're like, how the hell am I supposed to do this now?
Yeah. Well, I even went in, let me see, because I had it up on my screen earlier. Like they went in and they changed the lookout of it. So now you can see it as grid view as well as list view. But then even the things that they added into it, Like now you can add an AI hook that it can create the hook for you, speech enhancement, B-roll, publish on social media, change your dimensions. Speaking of which, there were a few things that also popped up this weekend. Instagram just went back to now Reels can be up to 3 minutes long. I don't know if you saw that or not.
I think you sent that to me, or I saw it somewhere. Yeah.
Well,
so that's competition against TikTok, because TikTok's up to 15 minutes now, isn't it?
And Instagram, right? I mean, YouTube is what I was trying to think.
15 minutes on Shorts?
No, they're still at 60 seconds, but I think they're trying to now, like you said, they're not trying to be TikTok, but they're trying to say, well, we can hold up Shorts longer than YouTube will, because it just went to 3 minutes this past week, which is good for me because I get a lot of crap for, well, you only showed 60 seconds. I'm like, well, you got to wait for the next video. And it's that dilemma of making one platform happy versus the other. So Instagram, TikTok, Facebook love the Shorts. LinkedIn now has short videos. I don't know if anybody's been paying attention, but it used to only have one icon that was that little picture icon. Well, now it's a picture versus video because they want to push video on LinkedIn. But you would get cheated on YouTube because you have to have so many minutes of hours watched before you can monetize it. Well, if you're doing Shorts to make it happy, then it kind of works against you to a degree because it's good on all those other platforms, but you'll never reach the goal to monetize YouTube.
Yeah, but those are totally two different scenarios.
Right. But I'm saying if you're creating
I know, but I'm just saying that's why you got to create other video also, and then Shorts to get people to come see your other video. That's what it is. And on your other ones, you should say part 1 and then part 2. And the reason is because I listened to somebody the other day. I watch Gutfield and that cat Tiff, who's only like 30 something, but she's like, you want me to watch something for 2 minutes?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, so they don't want to even, they don't even watch movies now. Oh, that's too much commitment. And so it's like, okay, that's a totally, again, who is your demographic? Who is your perfect client is all you should worry about and nobody else.
Right. Making the content for them.
Yes, only. And don't worry about anybody else. Don't worry about going viral. Don't worry about how many followers you have. There's people with only 5,000 followers who are killing it with making money because they are all their clients only.
But I will argue with you. I'll say yes, and you have to have your avatar, but you have to know what makes that platform happy. Because if you're putting long content on short content platforms, you'll never find your ideal avatar. So you do have that.
No,
you said only make it about your avatar. Yes. I'm saying a yes, and you have to customize.
I didn't say you didn't
platform.
Cut it down to 30 seconds or a minute or 3 minutes. I didn't say that. I said only make content who you're trying to talk to, and then make it specific for each channel for the way it should be. Yes. But I'm saying don't worry about going viral on your content. No. Only focus on talking to your perfect client. And if you want to call it an avatar, I don't care, Mr. I think I'm so young. Anyway,
ideal client avatar are the same. I was just saying, yes,
I know, but
it needs to be platform. So person first, platform second.
Oh yeah, you have to know who, because you can do platform and then your client, but then you're talking to everybody and it doesn't go viral. I still have that one that went viral, still picking up people and still people bitching about it's not correct and everything else. It's like, okay, doesn't work everywhere.
Right. Well, I think I told you, I decided over December, had some extra time on my hands. I thought, just one post, I'm going to really, truly hate the haters back. And my engagement went from, I was averaging 1,000 people every other day to nobody for 2 weeks. Like I may add 500 and lose 500. So don't go after. So we always talk about haters or helpers.
It doesn't want, don't be the aggressor in the situation.
Exactly. So I'm debating on deleting that whole video and just reposting it to get rid of all the comments and see if I can get the algorithm going again.
I would. But I was listening to somebody else the other day. I think it was Alex Hormozy, and he was talking about when he first started doing content and that kind of thing. And basically it's what we said. I was like, yeah, that's exactly it. You do not want to be the aggressor on these things. You want to be just a regular person so people come and support you. When you become the aggressor, people run away from you.
Yeah, that's exactly the same one I saw with him, where he's like, if they call me stupid, I go, yeah, thanks for the input. Is that the video that you watched?
Not of yours, but
Alex.
I listened to so many of his podcasts. I couldn't tell you anymore.
I just get up in the morning, I throw on YouTube while I'm making coffee and everything else. And he was on the other day. It's a short, like 28-minute video I watched on his.
And what was it about?
Oh, just different things when he was first getting started creating content. You're going to suck. You know, who do you respond to? Actually, I can look and tell you what it's called. Let me see. Let me show you something. Who was it I listened to? It was Alex. And it was called... it's an 18-minute video. Let's see. This video should be required viewing for business owners.
Yeah, it's probably it's a recent one, right?
Yep.
The last couple of months.
Yes. Just came out like last week or two.
Yeah. Well, I've been doing so much walking.
Yeah. He's like you said, he's a good one to listen to, because what I really like about him, Andy Frisella, different peoples, they talk about the struggle. Most people get on only talk about, look at me, how smart I am. I've always done everything correct. And they'll tell you, like, he still goes back to living in Layla's parents' home for what, 2 years while they were redoing all their stuff. Or sleeping. Yeah. Sleeping on gym floors. Andy Frisella talks about them sleeping in the store and how over something like the first 7 years, they maybe made $50,000. You know, I think his first year in business, he made $712. You know, so I'd like people that talk about, and you've talked about this numerous times, that you have the hardest time finding people for Inner Edison, because people only want to talk about where they are, not where they were or what it took to get there.
And people need to know what it took you to get there. People want to know that kind of stuff, because that's what we focus on. And you need to focus on that stuff.
100%.
And it's even like on Helping the Brave, people don't always want to talk about what they went through in the service and on the other side, and the PTSD and everything else. But then there are people who want to talk about it so they can help other veterans. So it just depends.
Yeah.
We're
raised in a weird environment where it's okay to talk about negative stuff, but if you talk about positive things, then people think you're braggadocious, or, you know, you're raised to be seen and not heard. Just work hard and be recognized. We're not taught to talk about ourselves. So we had Jimmy on before, and that's one of the hardest things when he gets a client in, is getting people to talk about themselves is counterintuitive to what we were told as we were being raised. Stop being braggy. You know, you're just a narcissist if you talk about your struggles or what you've accomplished. And what it really should be is the opposite, which is you should be able to share your pains and celebrate your successes at the exact same time. But we're not taught to do that. We're taught to talk about everything that's negative in our life. But if we share a positive, then it's seen that way. And I had a friend who, she posted about, paying off her townhome, and she got hate for it. Oh, well, it's nice that you weren't affected during the pandemic and all this kind of stuff. And she's like, I drove Uber and did all kinds of other things while I was working also, and didn't go out and didn't do all these things so I could accomplish this goal, because I knew I needed that to reach the next phase of my life. But that's not what people see. One time I did a post about, here in Texas, it's always hot during the summer and leather seats suck. And so I bought my first ever car that I bought new at age like 44, something like that. And I said, oh, after having air conditioned seats, I'll never have a car that doesn't have it again. And people came out, and then one guy's like, oh, it must be real nice for you that you got this and that. And I had to explain, like, this is my first ever new car. And they're like, oh, okay.
You should have said, yes, it is.
Yeah. It's amazing that where people should learn to support each other, because I do believe.
Can I? I'll answer this why they don't.
Sure, go for it.
You only get hate from below.
That's true.
Okay, if you understand, you only get hate from below. There's nothing you can do about it. You don't get hate from above. It's only from below. They're going, and people are always in. You can't fix other people's situations.
There's a really good one who posted this week. It was like John Story. He's a coach that's out of Arizona, teaches real estate realtors, and he posted one, and it's like, a weightlifter will never laugh at you for lifting weights. All these kinds of things, and that's exactly it. Is when people see you trying, like, you don't go to the gym, and if you see somebody who's in less shape than you don't go over and make fun of them for doing it. And it's one of those things. It's just, unfortunately, that's what I hate on Instagram and some of the other platforms. Are people who have fake accounts that do nothing but go around and spread negativity. And it's just, why do you want to go and create a fake account with a fake profile just to go and spew hate on other people? And then you wonder why you're miserable? It's kind of self-evident.
Yeah, well, they're just miserable, so they want other people to be miserable too. So just move on. It's from
Agreed.
below. Nothing you can do about it.
Yep.
Just tell them. So, and when I engaged with him, I didn't really engage. I just was like, really, like he's full of shit. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like I never attacked them. You do not attack your haters. You can still have a conversation with them, but do not call them majorly out. Right.
And that's what I did. And hence the drop.
Because people hate that. People
Yeah.
just don't want, they run away from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, and we have a change coming right now. I mean, I can see it totally different with different people thinking business. I mean, especially if you own a business or you see business optimism going forward is huge. It's at the highest it's been for many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not getting political. I'm just saying it's totally changing how we're looking at things. And if taxes go the way that we think taxes are going to go, if tariffs are going to go, we don't, now we have a external revenue service instead of an internal revenue service. I mean, there's just so many things going forward to make all the stuff we do better. Right. Everybody should be much happier going forward, I hope.
And you would hope that. And some people go, oh, that must mean you lean one way or the other. Go back and look. Mm-hmm. It's always during any election year, people are scared and nervous about what may be coming. And then once someone is picked, things usually tend to go up a little bit. Now, it's not always the case, but a majority of the time, once there's a sense of stability, I know who it'll be going forward, things get better. But especially this time around, people were in such bad shape on so many different areas. They wanted a change. And it doesn't matter which office is in or not, but people wanted to change and see the ideas behind the change and are going, yes, I can see a turning point.
And someone asked me, I don't see, I focus on America.
Right.
America. That's all I focus on. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, Green Party, Tea Party, whatever those other things. It doesn't matter to me. Right. Pretty much all of us are in the middle. If you focus on what's best for the country, only best for the country and people of this country, you'll never go wrong. It's when that's not what has been happening, though. It's been we taking care of the world instead of taking care of us, and we keep getting taxed. The people making the money keep getting taxed more and more and more. Mm-hmm. That's my only issue with where we've been.
Sure. Well, and there's so many different people who post about this, but no one is coming to save you is what everybody needs to be thought of. And that's why we talked about before. What are multiple streams of income? So let's take today's lesson. Don't rely on one job. Don't rely on one platform. Don't rely on one software. You have to diversify in almost every area of life other than dating. I wouldn't recommend that. And it can be fun, but
not when you get caught.
That's exactly right. But you do need to diversify. Don't have all your money in just one bank. That's one of the things that they taught all the time is FDIC only has so much. So if you have above FDIC and for some reason your bank went under, you're screwed. So it's an investment psychology. It should be a business psychology, a money-making psychology. We talked about it all the time. Like people who only have a job and don't have a hobby or something to fall back on, what do you do if you lose that job? So that you don't go into a mental depression and then spiral out. So always have diversity in things.
Well, it's just like Hermosi was talking about. He has backup pay systems in place, not payroll, but pay systems for people to pay. So if one goes down, another one's right there ready to go. He doesn't lose anything. Well, and when you were saying in other banks, unless you're Silicon Valley Bank and the governor in California, then you can do whatever you want and get all your money back because you'll just call Uncle Biden at that time to have him come in and fix everybody's account in this bank, which is unheard of.
Right. Yeah. Well, going back to Alex Hermosi, him and Russell Brunson both had the same thing, which is they had merchant processors who they made so many sales so quick. The merchant processor said, this looks really shady. We're going to hold all your money for 6 months. And they had to figure out how do they keep their businesses to survive during that time. So it's interesting that they both went through that same thing, and you can read about it in their books and stories. And I think those 5 books, because Russell has 3, right? 3 or 4.
He's got more than that.
Oh, does he? I know I have some of his sitting behind me that I can't.
.com secrets.
Right. Copywriting secrets.
Expert secrets. They're right behind me. I have to turn and look.
Yeah.
Did you say traffic?
Secrets? No, yeah, we said traffic first. And then, with Alex, he's got $100 million sales, $100 million offers.
Unlock the secrets. He's
Right.
got
I didn't know about that
traffic
one.
secrets. He's got expert secrets, and then he's got the .com secrets. That's in a package that he has.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's got any, and then he's got another book, I think, also.
Probably, but they all talk about they had that issue with the merchant processor,
Mhm.
and it almost killed their businesses. And so that's why we're talking about diversity amongst a lot of things is just important.
Yeah. Well, that's just having multiple platforms, like, and the other day I had Cast Magic again, right? Every time they went up to like $299 last year. And I was like,
Yeah.
this is ridiculous. So I canceled. So they were like, would you like to come back for 50% off? Sure. And then all of a sudden I got hit again this year, went up to $299. I'm like, canceled. And the guy's like, it was too expensive. He put that. I saw it was too expensive. Would you like 40% off? And then it was like, if you prepaid for the whole year, you got 40% off. And so
Right.
I started, and then I was like, cancel again. And then they
Mhm.
sent me the other day, take this, and I'll give you the code too if you need it,
Yeah.
for 50% off. And I'm like, okay, I went in there, tried to do it. Kept putting me back to the other $299, and I'm doing it. So I finally emailed them, I'm tired, I'm done. Okay. They went in and they fixed it themselves.
Yeah.
So when I go to do it, it'll automatically go to that. Cause don't get me wrong, it's a great program, but it gets very expensive to, there's so many other ways I could do it instead of using Cast Magic.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. You have to constantly keep testing everything. Again, have different software, use different platforms, get your information so that you own it off those platforms any way that you know how. If you don't know how to do it, ask ChatGPT, go and Google it,
Yeah.
you name it. Yeah.
I mean, everything. Ask ChatGPT. I found out how to create my own GPT and to be a standalone own software.
Yep.
Through it told me how to do it.
I met some people at a networking event last week, and they're like, "Hey, do you have courses?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Do you have an avatar that we can put in all these different languages?" I'm like, "Well, I'm familiar with Hey Gen." They're like, "Yep, that's what we use." It's again, I know we beat this one to a pulp, but if you're not using AI, you are so far behind. Yes, I still Google stuff, but it's becoming more and more rare versus going into ChatGPT and asking, because you can get all the resources instead of going, let me check out that website. Let me check out that website.
Yeah.
And you can ask it the simplest questions.
Yeah. Because right now, if you a new one or updated software beta wise, when you push your button to ask, it asks you, do you want to use Google or do you want to use ChatGPT? And I always tell ChatGPT, like the other Saturday, my wife's like, TikTok's back up, or whenever it was. And so it was Sunday morning, I think it was.
Yeah. Sunday
So
morning came back.
I asked ChatGPT, why was TikTok back up? And it said they decided to turn it back on after Trump stated he would write an executive order to extend it.
Yeah.
And so I just text that to her. This is the reason why, it just saves you. For shows. There's so many ways to use it that if you're not using it, and it's going to get to a point where nothing's going to get done without it.
Right.
And then it's going to get to, and I'm sorry for cutting you off,
Yeah.
back to, is this a real person telling me this, or did he get this from AI?
Right. What do I keep seeing the glasses now that have all the information, with AI written into it, so you can press a button, ask AI, and it'll pop it on your lenses. And of course, we all saw what they did with Ray-Ban and what up and like fished people right in front of their faces, which is crazy. But it will be where everything goes with us. We look things up. What I do like about ChatGPT versus Google is the clickbaity websites don't show up. You know what I mean? Where you have to read through it and find out, this was just clickbait, and it's going to pop up 12,000 ads.
Yeah. I had it. So I was pushed to potentially create a veterans benefit company to help veterans get the disability. So I had to search every company out there and how they did their pay structure. And I researched everything with it. And it was, the market, everything else. I wrote sales plans, business plan, how big's the market, all this different stuff was through that. And in seconds, I was able to find it instead of hours or going to what you used to have to do, which is the post office to see if somebody wrote an article or anything about this kind of stuff.
Right. It's just amazing what you can do and can't do. And again, if you're using a software, go ask ChatGPT. Hey, I currently use this software. What else would you recommend?
Yeah. Everything.
Right.
It's like today you were talking about, what do you want to talk about? And I'd already researched nostalgic driven branding and AI and branding. And basically you were like, what's that? And I told you, and you're like, oh, well, let's talk about this other thing. But what I was getting at is AI and branding basically is going to get to a point where people are going to want to know where it's coming from. Is this from AI or is this from a human? Because I want to talk to a human. I want to talk to this other stuff. Because I've been playing around with the Go High Levels AI person answering the phones, and it's fine. It only tricks the older people.
Right.
That's what I'm sorry, but it's only people. Other people don't want to even deal with it.
Well, it's going to be the same swing that look at call centers. When I first got started, the company I used to work for did telco work. So I learned how to program PBXs, which is, the little phone exchanges inside buildings. And now we hate when we call it. It's like, hi, what can I help you with? And you're like, operator. It's like, before we send you to an operator, what? Yeah. We hate it. We want to get to real people.
You can't just hit 0 anymore and hold it down. It doesn't work anymore.
Not at all. Yeah. Sometimes they'll hang up. That pisses me off worse.
Yeah. Well, it's like I told you when I was trying to do my continuing education for my company and I couldn't get in, to my licensing part. And I called the company that handles it. And I got, there is a more than 25-minute wait, click. There's more than a 25-minute wait, click. That's what it did for days before the holiday, and then after the holiday, and then finally 5 hours on the next. It's just, so.
That's why I do like, and I know we're getting way off track here, but I do like the ones that offer to call you back. But then I'm paranoid to put my phone down. I'm like, okay, I need to take a shower, but American Airlines is supposed to call me back. Can I take a shower or not? So pros and cons. I'd rather wait for the call than sit on the phone or be there in person. So anyhow. Yes. All right.
Are we going to have a joker this week? Probably not, right?
Probably not, just because the holiday week always makes it tougher on people. So we shall see.
It was only federal. Oh, yeah, it's Inauguration Day.
Yep. There's people drinking on both sides of the fence today.
Yeah. Some people really drinking heavy.
Yeah. I'm sure a lot of people took a mental health day today. So we shall see, or Monday. But anywho, all right, we'll see if we can get us a joker on time or on Thursday or not. But anyway, Ray, you want to take us out?
No, I brought us in.
I know, but sometimes you do better at it. So
I don't care. You need practice.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you once again for joining Aces53 with Ed Parcaut and myself on Tuesdays. Like today, it's just Ed and I sitting talking like two grumpy old men. On Thursdays, we try and bring you guys a joker, someone with a special skill or talent that we think you guys can benefit from. Always reach out. Let us know if there's a topic that's on your mind that you want to talk about or you want us to find someone to talk about. Let us know. We're happy to do that. And the best way to support us is just share this with somebody else. Like it, subscribe, all the usual stuff. You know what to do. Other than that, Ed, thank you for joining us today. Everybody else, thank you very much. We'll see y'all on Thursday.
Thanks for having me.